Hottest news today.
Fire.
Chanel stuns Sophia, ignites the flames of revenge. Days of Our Lives spoilers, a creative deep dive. Salem is no stranger to betrayal, heartbreak, and explosive secrets. But even by Days of Our Lives standards, what's coming next is next-level chaos. Just when fans thought the tension between Chanel Dupree Diamera and Sophia Choi had simmered down, Chanel drops a bombshell so shocking, so perfectly timed, that it doesn't just stun Sophia. It changes her. And once Sophia changes, revenge isn't just an option, it becomes her mission. Buckle up, because this story rewrites alliances, exposes buried truths, and sets Salem on fire.
Fire.
For weeks, Chanel had been playing it cool.
Too cool. She smiled when she needed to. She stayed polite when she didn't have to.
To anyone watching from the outside, Chanel looked like a woman who had finally made peace with her past, with her complicated relationships, and even with Sophia. The tension between them had been real, yes, but lately it seemed manageable. Sophia, on the other hand, wasn't convinced. She had learned the hard way that Chanel Dupree didn't forgive easily, and she never forgot. Sophia could feel it in her bones. That calm was a lie.
Chanel wasn't done. She was waiting.
Waiting for the perfect moment. Sophia tried to tell herself she was imagining things. She focused on her own plans, her own future, her carefully constructed image in Salem. She had worked too hard to let paranoia ruin everything now. But in Salem, paranoia is usually just the truth knocking early. What Sophia didn't know, what no one knew, was that Chanel had been quietly connecting dots that others didn't even realize existed.
Late nights. Old messages.
Overheard conversations that didn't make sense at first. Chanel had replayed everything again and again, trusting her instincts when logic failed her. And slowly, a picture emerged, one that pointed directly at Sophia.
Not just to past betrayals, but to something much worse.
Chanel discovered a secret Sophia had buried so deeply she believed it was untouchable. A secret that tied into business dealings, personal manipulation, and a decision that had caused real damage to people Chanel loved.
This wasn't petty drama anymore. This was war. And Chanel decided that when she struck, she wouldn't whisper. She would detonate.
It happens at a place no one would expect, public enough to hurt, private enough to trap Sophia with no escape. 1 minute, Sophia is confident, composed, in full control. The next, Chanel looks her dead in the eye and says exactly the right words.
Not shouted. Not emotional. Calm. Precise.
Devastating. The room seems to freeze as Chanel lays it all out, proof included.
Every lie.
Every manipulation. Every move Sophia thought no one would ever trace back to her. Sophia's face drains of color. For the first time in a long time, she has no comeback.
No spin. No way out.
The silence that follows is louder than any scream Salem has ever heard. And then Chanel delivers the final blow, the one that turns shock into humiliation.
She lets Sophia know she chose this moment. She wanted witnesses.
She needed Sophia to understand that this wasn't impulsive. This was earned. Sophia breaks, and something dark is born. People expect Sophia to lash out immediately. She doesn't. That's the scariest part.
She smiles. Barely. She nods.
She congratulates Chanel on being very clever.
But behind her eyes, something snaps.
Sophia has spent her life believing that control equals safety. That as long as she stayed 3 steps ahead, she could never be truly vulnerable. Chanel didn't just expose her secret. She stripped her of control in front of everyone who mattered. And Sophia Choi does not forgive humiliation. She walks away with her head held high, but inside, a single thought takes root and refuses to let go.
Chanel Dupree will pay for this. Not loudly. Not quickly. But completely. Sophia doesn't rush.
That's how she's different from her enemies.
Instead, she watches. She listens.
She studies Chanel's world. Her relationships, her weak points, the people she protects without hesitation. Sophia knows revenge isn't about destruction.
It's about precision. She starts small.
A rumor here,
A subtle manipulation there. Nothing that can be traced back to her.
Nothing obvious enough to trigger suspicion. But slowly, Chanel begins to feel it, the shift.
Doors that once opened easily start closing.
Trust becomes harder to hold on to.
And Sophia?
She's always just on the sidelines, offering sympathy with a smile that never quite reaches her eyes.
Chanel isn't naive. She knew revenge was coming the second she spoke the truth. What she didn't expect was how patient Sophia would be.
This isn't a reckless enemy, it's a calculating one. Chanel starts questioning everything.
Who can she trust? Who's being influenced? Who's already turned against her without realizing why?
The confidence she felt after exposing Sophia begins to crack, replaced by something heavier. The realization that she may have awakened something far more dangerous than she intended.
But Chanel Dupree doesn't back down.
If Sophia wants a war, Chanel will finish it. As whispers spread, Salem becomes a battlefield of loyalty. Some believe Chanel did the right thing, finally holding Sophia accountable. Others wonder if Chanel went too far, too publicly, too cruelly.
Sophia plays the victim perfectly. She never denies the past outright. She reframes it. She softens the edges.
She lets people draw their own conclusions, ones that conveniently paint Chanel as ruthless and unforgiving.
And it works. Friends take sides. Old wounds reopen. Long-buried grudges resurface.
Salem thrives on chaos, and this feud feeds it like gasoline on a flame.
Then comes the moment that changes the tone completely.
Sophia makes a move that crosses an invisible line, one that puts someone Chanel loves directly in harm's way.
Not physically, not obviously, but emotionally, professionally, permanently.
Chanel realizes this isn't just revenge anymore.
It's personal.
And now, there are no rules.